We could be in for higher gas prices, steeper heating bills, and food costs, all because of one thing: new regulations from the Obama administration. As part of our series, Regulation Nation, we have invited Michael Whatley, the Executive Vice President of the Consumer Energy Alliance, to explain what some of these new regulations could mean to your wallet. Michael, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me on this afternoon.
All right, let's start with pain at the pump, because everybody feels it every time they have to stop, and it's a daily part of life for a lot of folks, the reality of what you're paying for gas. But you're saying there are regulations out there now, and some coming down the pike, that could make it even more expensive.
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing that we've seen from the environmental community is they have an agenda, really a four-point agenda, which is to get off of oil, off of coal, to regulate natural gas production, and not allow any drilling on federal lands, either for natural gas or for oil. And the Obama administration has been extremely willing to work with the environmentalists on all of these different fronts. And you can look at the myriad regulations that have been coming down the pike over the last several years, but even in an accelerated place that we've seen coming out since the elections and the announcements of all the rules that are coming. And really every one of those regulations is another tool in the toolkit that's going to get you back to one of these 4 points.
Okay, but the president said, and we all heard him during the debates, that under his administration that things have gotten better as far as production, domestic production of oil and those kinds of things, leases on federal lands, that kind of thing. There was a debate about that, and he said, hey, I'm doing the right stuff. I'm releasing this stuff, and I'm making it easier for you to fill up.
We're pretty excited as an organization at Consumer Energy Alliance about the fact that we have these massive natural gas resources, and that we've seen increases in natural gas production and on oil production in the United States. And that's key because it's so much cheaper than the oil we're getting in from the Middle East. But the fact is that the production that we've seen on federal lands and the leasing that we've seen on federal lands, and those are directly governed by the federal departments and agencies, have gone down precipitously. And so you also have seen a lot of regulation that's coming in on the production of oil and natural gas on state lands and on private lands as well. So what we really want to do is try and make sure that the president has campaigned on trying to get us into an all-of-the-above energy policy. We completely agree with that approach. What we don't want to see is just empty rhetoric where we're regulating off oil, off coal, and into pushing nothing but alternatives and renewables, because frankly they're not ready for prime time and they're much more expensive.
And we have seen that with a number of companies that just haven't been able to survive financially yet in that particular arena. Now, I like to keep an eye every day and look and see what's happening with the regulations. Anybody can do this at regulation.gov. In the last 90 days, 5,778 issued by this administration just in the last 90 days. But elections do have consequences, so the person that you put in the White House is going to staff these agencies, and they're going to make these decisions.
They're going to do it. And again, I don't think that it's really valuable for us to go into every single rule and every single regulation and say, why are these coming down the pike? What you need to do is look at the overall energy agenda for the administration and understand that they're going to use regulations under the Clean Air Act, regulations under the Endangered Species Act, regulations under the Clean Water Act to accomplish the goals that they have. And if you look at Keystone XL, for an example, where the administration is saying we don't want to have, oil coming down the pipeline, the environmentalists made this a huge cause celeb and put tremendous pressure on the administration for it, which is why we punted it for a year, and now we're going to come back and take it again. It's not a matter of did TransCanada cross every T and dot every I. It was a matter of the political consequences of allowing this project to go forward before the election.
Michael Whatley, thank you very much for coming in and explaining this a little bit more. We're going to keep an eye on it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, and folks, you can keep an eye on it too. Like I said, regulation.gov, and there's also a place for you to comment, because most of these public comment periods. So know what's out there, weigh in, let your voice be heard. Chaos.